In the kingdom of Fauna, when someone from the royal family turned 13 years old, the goddess gave a special gift. But one prince was unlucky. Before an important event in the courtyard of Farnia Castle, he did not receive any gift. Here appears Theodore Forn, the third Prince of Air. He was busy with a lively sparring session with his maid. For simplicity, let's call him Theo. Every strike from his servant grew stronger and forced him to retreat. The maid Leela, known as Stein, was his personal assistant. Eventually, Theo collapsed from exhaustion, and Leela decided to end the session, saying he needed to rest before the gift confirmation ceremony that evening. Theo's face lit up as he praised Leela and admired her outstanding abilities. She skillfully wielded a sword, was an excellent cook, knew household management, was an S-class adventurer, well-versed in etiquette, and was the perfect woman in every way. Leela thanked Theo for the compliments and reached out to help him stand, but he did not manage to take her hand. A huge wave of water surged over him. Leela quickly pulled Theo to a safe place. They barely avoided getting wet. This dramatic act was arranged by Nils Florian, the second Prince of Fornia, who came to show off magic and present little Theo. Smiling, Nils reminded his younger brother that every member of the royal family receives a divine gift at 13 years old, and asked why Theo was training in the yard. Embarrassed by Nils's mockery, Odin immediately understood what Nils explained, majestically summoning a large fireball. He arrogantly boasted about his magical skills. He mocked Theo's sword training, saying that with such abilities it was pointless, and noted that the gift from the royals reflected their character, eagerly awaiting the probably useless gift from Theo. After the performance, Nils's son ran away, impatiently waiting for the ceremony. Theo, irritated by his brother's teasing, clenched his fists. Leela quickly calmed Theo, hugged him tightly, and assured him that if Nils was right about gifts reflecting personality, O would definitely receive a special gift. Her encouragement lifted O's mood and gave him hope for the ceremony. That night, the royal family gathered at the court. The Aphased faced harsh criticism for not receiving any divine blessing. Family members, angry and confused, questioned his right to be king, as this had never happened before. Fear and anxiety were visible on Theo's face. The situation worsened when Neil laughed mockingly. Tears of laughter were in his eyes. King Gos, the fourth ruler of Fornia, quickly silenced the crowd, knelt down and addressed the Easterners. He asked if he wanted to humiliate him. Gos declared that the son, rejected by the goddess, has no place in the castle, and made it clear that Theo was no longer welcome here. Nils immediately asked his father to execute the previously discussed plan. King Gauss made the final decision for proclaiming Theo the ruler of the land of death. He amazed everyone at the ceremony and caused a whisper among the crowd. Theo tried to challenge his father's decision, but the king brushed him off. The land of death was a barren, poisonous desert where no plant could survive, and terrifying creatures roamed there. There was no place for people there, and Theo did not understand why his father sent him there. Before he could object, the king interrupted him and called him a worthless failure. The harsh words deeply hurt them. His father emphasized that disobedience to the king was unacceptable. Theo was ordered to immediately pack his things and set off to the land of death. This decision effectively meant exile from the kingdom. His brother Nils sees the moment when Jur laughs in Theo's face and boasts that he is preparing to become the next king, while Theo struggles to survive in the desolate land. Feeling helpless and broken, O had no choice but to accept his grim fate. The next day his carriage departed, and when it was leaving, he waved goodbye one last time to family and friends. Although his attractive father and selfish brother were absent, sitting again in the carriage, he noticed that Leela had disappeared. He wanted to say goodbye to her, and at that moment he heard her voice. She said she was very close. Lost in thought, Theoden reacted first, but then he noticed Leela sitting opposite him and asked in surprise why she was there. Leela calmly said she would always be by his side. He reminded her that he was going to the deadly land of death and asked her not to risk her life. Leela, a little irritated, again confirmed that it was her duty to be his personal servant, swearing to follow him even to hell itself. When Theo asked if she was sure, she nodded decisively, without any doubt. He thanked her for joining, and Leela said she was glad to spend some time with him. Their playful conversation continued as the carriage went on. They reported that it would take several days to reach the land of death and that they would have to change carriages. Theophelp was worried about this trip. But when Leela was near, he felt a little better. Still, one question troubled him. Why did he not receive a gift from the goddess? He wondered if it might be because he truly does not belong to this world. Remembering his past life as an ordinary office worker, he was stuck in an exhausting routine, like many others, and his days were filled with long working hours, often until night. And this can affect his home life, making every day monotonous. Sometimes he wanted to play that game about creating a civilization that he loved in his student years, but work left no time for hobbies. Adult life was hard, he thought. One day his exhausted body could no longer endure, and he woke up in an unfamiliar place where a smiling goddess kindly invited him to the divine kingdom. Goddess Vesta introduced herself and quietly revealed the shocking truth that Theo had died. At first, Theo did not believe at all when her words reached him. The goddess expressed sympathy over his death and then moved on to the main point. She asked if he would like to be reborn in another world. She advised him not to ask why, because gods have their own complex motives, and sweetened the offer, promising a unique ability if he chose reincarnation. The idea of power brought back memories of a game he loved, where building was effortless because he found himself in an unknown world. He wanted to be able to craft. He talked about the game he liked during his student years and asked for the crafting power like in it. Vesta immediately granted his wish. Now Theo wondered if he did not receive a gift at the ceremony because he already had this ability. As a reincarnated prince, he never crafted anything, so he forgot about it. Leyland Naj and Ovake announced their arrival. Opening his eyes, he awkwardly realized that he was lying on her lap, and Layla calmly said that there was no need to be embarrassed because he had fallen there himself. And she wanted to admire his calm face a little longer, but pointed to the impatient coachman. The coachman was understandably irritated. He could not wait all day while they loitered in his carriage, who quickly stepped out, finding himself before the gloomy land of death. Theo did not expect anyone there, but noticed how deserted it was. He was worried whether they would have to rest outside in the cold. Layla assured him that there was no need to worry. Jokingly, she said that she could warm him with her body if needed. Theo doubted that bodily warmth would be enough in such a place, brushing off the thought. Layla was a little offended, and Theo was a little worried and realized that she was serious. She turned away, calming herself that, although she had missed this chance to get closer, there would still be opportunities to win him over. They decided that their first step would be to build a shelter. Remembering his crafting skills, he smiled, glad that he could finally put them to use. He asked Layla to chop down trees nearby, and she quickly sliced them with her sword, leaving piles of logs. Impressed by her strength, Theo noted that this was not surprising for a former adventurer. When Leela asked what he would do with the logs, Theo said he was going to build a house. They gathered firewood, and Theo approached the pile to activate his ability. He did not know how to use it because he had not practiced for a long time and had never built anything as large as a house. He focused on imagining the design of the house and its stability. The logs began to move by themselves, and in a moment a whole house appeared before them. Leela questioned his power with surprise and, in the case of Oxblin, he did not receive a gift at the ceremony because this ability was given to him from the very beginning. Layla was very proud of her master and hugged him tightly. Accidentally pressing his face against her chest, she apologized as he was breathing heavily and muttering, and explained that her anxiety had taken over. They went inside, and were impressed by the impeccable interior of wood and stone, which amazed Layla and wonder. When Theo entered the room, he noticed that the bed frame had no mattress and realized he needed materials to create something. Layla offered her clothes as a substitute, and using his auto-crafting ability, Theo quickly crafted a comfortable bed. But this decision caused a new problem. Layla remained partially wet in a thin nightgown. She rushed to Theo, who was trying to keep his distance, but she insisted on staying close to protect him, even hitting him against the wall. Eventually, relented, and they shared one bed. Although he soon got up, he felt uncomfortable because of her closeness. Despite his attempts to avoid it, Theo eventually ended up and was caught along with Layla, who had no other choice. Their first day in the land of death ended, and Theo thought about how Layla and his crafting skills saved his life. When she was near, he felt safe. That night, their house suddenly began to tremble. Theo went outside to check and saw a minotaur running towards him. It is a stick raised to strike. Just as it swung, he lay down to pull them out from under danger, and the stick hit the ground. She drew her sword, ready to fight the beast, angry because it ruined her perfect honeymoon with Prince Theo. Layla firmly decided to fight the creature. Theo was a little worried about her, but remembered that she was strong, having seen her defeat similar monsters before. His real anxiety was that he was helpless and hated always relying on her in danger. Defining act, Layla retreats. He activated his autocrafting ability. The Minotaur charged and smashed the house down to the bare boards. Imagine your weapon. In a moment, he crafted a huge wooden falling axe. To catch the creature by surprise, Theo lowered the huge axe like a falling star, crushed the Minotaur beneath him, leaving it dead. Theo was delighted. Everything exceeded his expectations. He pondered about the exile from the capital and his former uncertainty, but now felt he had a clear direction. Layla rushed to him and hugged him tightly, praising his outstanding skills. At that moment, Theo realized he had found his true calling and rejoiced at the new opportunities. In this deserted area, having the ability to create anything from materials, he felt like he was living in a game he had loved since he was a student. He turned to Layla and shared that he had found his purpose. When she asked what he meant, Theo competently explained that he would use his powers to restore the exhausted land and transform the land of death, the northern border of the kingdom of Fornia. It was the first morning for Theo in the land of death. It became possible thanks to the house they built. A new day was ahead, and the owner had to plan his next steps. In the kitchen, he saw that Layla had prepared a luxurious breakfast and promote it for such a barren place. When Theo took the first bite, he really liked the taste. Layla apologized and explained that the dish was not luxurious because she only used the castle's supplies. She offered her portion if he was still hungry. Theo realized that their limited rations would not last long. His main task was to solve the food shortage. Layla suggested opening a farm, and Theo agreed because he believed that a reliable food source would attract settlers to the infertile lands. After breakfast, they went outside to start work. Theo's enthusiasm quickly faded when he saw why this was. This place was called the Land of Death. The soil was completely unsuitable for farming. Layla told a rumor that a past disaster poisoned the soil with toxic air. The kingdom's attempts to restore it failed. Without stopping, Theo used his ability to automatically create items. To make a stone hoe from a stick and a stone to loosen the soil. They prepared the field together. After loosening the soil, they applied fertilizer. They finished work for today and could only hope that it would help later with the harvest. Exhausted, Orsted lies with his head on the dining table. Was surprised at how hard farm work was. He thought about going to the toilet, but Layla warned that the water was contaminated with toxic fumes, so they had to conserve their limited supply. Besides problems with food and threats from monsters, now faced the problem of securing clean water. He thought that the country of death was aptly named. That night, Theo slept on a cot together with Layla. As always, he got up when she came too close, but he noticed that she was already sound asleep, although only a few minutes had passed since they lay down. He realized that she deserved rest because she got up early, cooked, and worked on the farm more than he did. You feel worse than Layla. He knew he had to become better. Determined to surpass the other worker, he went to rest. As he was falling, Theo suddenly found himself in the place he ended up after his first death. In shock, he was afraid that he had died again. God inhabited Tima, who quickly calmed down and explained that she had only summoned his consciousness. She bowed and sincerely apologized for the chaos that. This led to his exile to barren lands. She explained that she could not give him a gift at 13 years old, so he was exiled. She explained that due to the presence of autocraft, she could not provide another skill. She warned that many gifts can break a person's heart and cause fluid leakage. She kept apologizing all the time, but Theo told her to calm down, to thank her for his exciting gift. Moved by his kindness, God apparently almost cried and tried to hug him. Theo was not thrilled that the goddess pressed him with her lush breasts, so he quickly took a defensive stance. God suddenly stops and remembers something important. She showed a metal bar and explained that it was the metal of the gods, imbued with divine power. She noted that such an item was forbidden in the mortal world, but decided to give it to him as a gift. Ost wanted to know if she was sure he could keep such a valuable item safe. The goddess reassured him and asked for silence, because he was her favorite and this gift was only for him. She added a pleasant bonus by kissing him on the cheek, leaving Theo flustered. Before leaving, she called the gift a small blessing and insisted that he use it wisely. She wished him luck and promised to always support him. As befits the best groomer, Theo Walkingcott. He doubted whether it was a dream. Keisha's liveliness seemed too real to doubt her. Suddenly he noticed movement under the blanket. Lifting the sheets from his feet, he found Layla, another groomer, who was possibly examining something. He quickly asked what she was doing. She said she felt something hard and wanted to check it. At first, the ogre was puzzled and embarrassed when he realized he might be aroused. He explained that it was a normal physiological reaction. However, the object of his heart was the bar god's nettle. Layla asked about it, and Theochlorophit said it was a gift from the goddess. Then Layla reported bad news on the street. The OAS were stunned when they saw that the soil they had been working on had become infertile again. He realized that farming was impossible on this hopeless land. Postpone the result until next time, offering them to try new fertilizers and continue the tests. Theo said that their efforts were in vain, but recalling his promise to work harder, he became determined again. He took a hoe and told Layla to rest. He noticed that she had worked all day yesterday. Now it was his turn. He suggested she practice fencing. Since constant explanations brought no results, their priority was to find the right fertilizer, although he admitted he knew little about soil. A system window appeared, reporting that the soil of the land of death had an E rating, the lowest quality, and without divine purification, crops would not grow on it. While O studied the window, Layla's gaze showed that she did not see it. Not sure why the soil data appeared. He remembered the goddess's kitsch and realized it was her divine blessing. Knowing which plants were needed to purify the soil, he resumed work. Not knowing how to purify it, he pulled out a metal bar of god rank, material created by God, which filled the tools with divine blessing. Theo devised a plan. He detached the handle from his hoe, combined this with the metal of God, and made a divine hoe. Despite the strange name, when it was used on the soil, it gave a dazzling light. At first, it seemed like nothing had changed. Checking the soil in the status window, he saw that the soil had become divine, and this blessing of the goddess gave everyone on the purified soil her favor and the ability to grow abundant crops. The Ogrind widely celebrates with a joyful dance. He shouted to Layla that the sacred hoe can purify the soil, which finally allowed them to sow crops. Layla jumped to hack him because of his success, but to her surprise, the elite easily surpassed her. Though she was brave, Layla was ashamed of his agility. Theo thanked Layla and the goddess for becoming useful. When he thanked her, tears of joy were in his eyes. Overwhelmed with emotions, Layla reached her limit, and it was as if her brain exploded. This moment marked their victory in making the fields fertile. Later, Vester relaxed in the bath and watched Theo through her crystal ball. Another goddess, Athena, appeared and questioned Vestas Theo's obsession. Vester replied that Theo's cleverness manifested because he turned divine metal into a hoe to cleanse the poisoned land. Athena shrugged and praised her hero, saying he was better than Theo. Vesta teased Aetna for always choosing cute girls as heroines, implying she was a Lulakan. Athena replied that she could do nothing if her heroes were cute, and she did not want to be called Shodakan like Vester. During their playful argument, Athena acknowledged Theo's value and noticed a connection with her dear hero. She disconnected from the connection, but remained glued to her crystal ball. Meanwhile, Theo read documents last night about the kingdom's attempts to reclaim these lands. The documents showed that the harmful air affected only the surface, so the deeper underground zones should be safe. This meant that the underground water was probably drinkable. Theo made an underground well, and after checking, the system confirmed that the water was seawater and of good quality. They raised their glasses as if drinking wine, then drank the water. Once the water was secured, they needed to finish soil cultivation, sow the seeds, and water them to grow the crop. But cultivating such a large area was difficult. Layla, exhausted in the middle of the Theocalib task, brought water. She insisted that he rest, and she led the horde further. Theo reminded her of how she fainted from exhaustion, and he knew the explosion was not only because of fatigue. He insisted that she rest. He firmly warned that overwork is dangerous. Silently, he recalled how he himself was dying from exhaustion. Layla felt the weight of his words. Theo still did not know how to inform everyone in the country, and dreamed of a tractor, but there were no materials to make it. Layla, overhearing, suggested asking for help or using livestock, and admitted that she knew little about tractors. Her idea was sensible. No one would settle in such a barren place, and bringing livestock would not be possible. Layla suggested the autocraft OUIS for creating livestock, the idea of human transmutation, marked with an asterisk fullmetal alchemist asterisk. Theo got scared and admitted that he was too afraid to try because he did not know what it would lead to. Layla hastily explained that she was just joking, but Theo noticed that she sounded quite serious. After a minute of thought, Theo came up with a breakthrough idea. Grateful for Layla's spark, he decided to do what they lacked. Layla asked if he meant the transmutation of people, and he assured her that he did not plan that. He explained that he would make something obedient. Golem, he noted that they would need earth, stones, and a magic stone, which drew power from monsters and was used in the making of weapons, magical items, or as a source of energy. Layla could not provide that, got upset, and to compensate began to undress. Theo quickly reminded her that they had a magic stone from a defeated monster. After gathering stones and materials, Theo uses autocrafting to create a golem. The stones merge and animate a giant stone figure. Layla was impressed by Theo's creation and very proud of it. Theo gave the command to move, and upon hearing it, it rushed forward. A sudden attack frightened Theo, but instead of attacking, the ghoul lifted him onto his shoulder, like a father holding a child. Layla rushed to protect Theo, but he assured her that the gong was not aggressive. Layla envies the golem's affection for Theo. He stated that it might have emotions, although others said it did not. She suggested that his unique method of manufacturing could have given this thing feelings. OS focused on work and ordered the ghoul to till the ground. He grabbed the hoe and worked extremely fast. Soon the land was cultivated, and by noon the soaked seeds were sown. Ghoul rested while Theo and Layla had dinner. Content O felt eagerly awaits the coming months. The next day they were surprised to find that all their crops had fully grown overnight. Even out-of-season vegetables grow well. O hadn't expected such a quick harvest. The problem with food supply was solved. Thanks to the fertile soil, generous crops grew overnight. They are interested in their taste. Layla checked them for side effects. The system window confirmed that the harvest is of excellent quality and without negative consequences. Discovery in one, and the taste exploded in his mouth. The juiciest and most delicious thing he had tasted. He wondered if the tomato is really a vegetable. He threw one to Layla and said it was incredibly tasty, and Layla timidly tried it and was delighted with the taste. Telly thought that after cooking they would become even tastier, so he started preparing the food. Inside, Layla cooked incredibly fast, quickly cooking various delicious dishes. Their first bites were the taste of paradise. The flavors were so rich and fresh that they were silent for several minutes, fully immersed in the experience. Dishes made from perfect ingredients, prepared with skill, were impressive. When the problem with the harvest collection was solved, Theo went outside to take on the next task. He called his golem named Gorm to check if he had gathered the materials. Gorm quickly pointed to a pile of stones and logs that it had collected. Interested, Layla asked what the golem's name was. Theo explained that he tried calling him Gorm, and it seemed he liked it. Reviewing the materials, Layla inquired about his plans for construction. Putting everything together, she wondered if he intended to build a separate house to live apart from her. Theo had already thought about it, but now water was available. He first took care of a place where they could rest. Using his auto-crafting skills, he built an open hot bath in the style of a traditional Japanese ryokan. Included were foaming soap and a body sponge made of various materials, satisfying an old desire. He created separate zones for men and women, eagerly went to the men's side, and told Layla to join later after bathing, while Layla silently watched them go to bathe. They planned to wash before bathing. When Layla offered to wash him, Theo agreed and they stopped. They looked at each other. Theo suddenly got scared. Pointing out that they were in the men's section, Lyle claimed there was no need for gender-segregated baths. True to her brave nature, she emphasized that she was his servant and insisted that her duty was to serve him completely. Claiming that he could not wash properly, she came closer and embarrassed Theo. Theo demanded that she leave him alone. But Layla refused to obey even as his servant. When he doubted their relationship, master and servant, Lyle asked if it was wrong when there was moderate physical contact between them. Theo insisted that her actions were far from prudent. Eventually, Lyle got her way and carefully washed him. They relaxed in the hot spring as the night became calm. Lyle noticed the beauty of the stars, and Theo smiled. He realized that he would never have seen such a view neither in a past life nor in the capital. I feel gratitude for the luxury of barren lands, But they were not completely alone. From the cliff, a figure with sharp ears and a long fluffy tail is visible. Foxshiro washed and interested by the hot spring couple, which is a rarity for people in this land. Theo was used to getting up early to train with Layla in fencing. After training, he diligently tended the fields and gathered vegetables, despite the dirty soil, and never was lazy until he was caught. Every night he and Layla read their favorite passage together, which helped him think and plan. For Theo, life in the land of death was calm and meaningful. However, one thing troubled him. He could not attract inhabitants to his growing city. Despite the comfortable life, this was not his ultimate goal. Even counting Gorm as a resident, the city still lacked 2 people to become a village. Usually everyone in his domain became a citizen, but in the land of death. He hoped that wanderers would come by chance. One day Theo heard quiet sounds from the fields. It caused a brief excitement that someone might stumble upon his land. Theo's excitement quickly turned to fear when he faced a huge beast. But he noticed that it emitted a strange divine aura, reminiscent of the presence of a goddess. As he pondered this, the beast spoke and asked him not to be afraid, which frightened Theo even more because he was not used to talking monsters. The beast introduced herself as Luna, the divine Fenvirian she-wolf. The name Fenrir reminded Theo of tales about a giant wolf endowed with godly power, whom almost no one had seen. Frightened, Theo did not know how to fight such a formidable creature at all. Luna asked if he had not heard her when she said not to be afraid, and repeated that she had not come to fight. She transformed into a stunning woman and shocked Theo for a moment. The wolf lady apologized for the surprise and explained that she had a request for him. She asked if he could share some vegetables. Surprisingly, she came exactly for that and did not feel hostility. Theo agreed, said they had a generous harvest, and offered her to take some. He gave her a tomato, and after tasting it, she felt divine bliss. The taste melted in her mouth and filled her with joy. She said that she had not tasted anything so delicious for 1,000 years. 1,000 years ago, the land was free from poisonous air and gave good harvests, although not as outstanding as others. Since then, a catastrophic war turned this place into a poisoned wasteland. Theo was shocked when he learned that the harmful air was caused by war, not a natural disaster. Interested, he asked if she had lived in the land of death for 1,000 years, and she nodded. The O advised her to consider moving to another place. Luna calmly said that this land was for her native home, and she could not leave it despite its desolation. She was glad that Theo restored its beauty. Asking his name, she learned that he was Theoflorian, and sincerely thanked him for his kindness and food. He did not need an award from Sister Theon. Luna could not accept this, because her kindness born of pain was important to her, and she leaned forward. Kish has a gentle forehead, and offer the protector a favor, a token of gratitude, everything she could give now. After soothing stroking, she shared how long it had been since she felt such joy. When Luna began to leave, Theo remembered her millennial stay in the land of the dead and came up with an idea. He called her and asked if she had considered the possibility of becoming a citizen of his domains. Luna looked back in surprise, then teased him with a playful smile. Asked if he wanted to tame a Fenrir, Theo quickly objected. Smiling, Luna stroked his head and explained that it was a joke. Luna said she needed time to consider his proposal, explaining that she had personal matters and Theo's offer was unexpected, so she needed time to decide. Smiling warmly, she promised a better gift at their next meeting, telling him to expect it. Theo blushed during the interaction when Luna returned to her wolf form. She said goodbye to him for the last time and disappeared into the distance. Theo decided not to tell Layla about the meeting with Luna because he feared her jealousy over another woman who spoke with him and did not know how she would react. The next day seemed ordinary to Theo. Ignorance disturbed his peaceful life. Suddenly, a tired, desperate woman appeared. She asked for help before fainting. Theo quickly told Layla to bring the first aid kit. After some time, the women in the room woke Theo. She was confused and did not know where she was, so she asked where she was. And Theo really wanted to see that she was conscious. He inquired about her health. She confirmed that she was fine, although she was still disoriented. When she asked who they were, Theo introduced himself and Layla, saying that she made it known near his house. The grateful woman, Aisha, expressed joy at meeting them. Theo asked why she was there. I have to try to remember how fear overwhelmed me and caused a severe headache. Theo asked her to rest and ordered Layla to bring healing herbs from the castle. known for their strong healing properties, ideal for treating injuries. Making powerful medicines from them required high skill. But thanks to Theo's ability to automatically create items, he effortlessly made effective healing remedies. Aisha was surprised when an elixir appeared in Theo's hands. After she drank it, her wounds immediately healed. The pain disappears as if the wounds never existed. Aisha, struck by the potion's effect, inquired whether Theo was a wizard or an alchemist, and Theo calmly replied that either of these titles would do. She asked if they were close to Fornix, a fortress city that protects against monsters from the land of death. Euclarified Fornix was a few miles from the land of the death border in shocking Asia. She did not notice that she had wandered so far into this uninhabited area, and the Theonautid confirmed her fears. Broken, Aisha realized she had taken the wrong path and did not know what to do next. She panicked because she was worried about the people who depended on her and feared that without quick action, they would not survive. Jesha said she was from the village of Mo in the territory of Vito. A few days ago, goblins attacked, and the defenseless villagers became easy prey. The goblins demanded food, then constantly asked for more food. When the villagers protested and spoke of the risk of starvation, the goblins made an even worse demand. They demanded all the women. Goblins could breathe alongside humans, which had obvious and serious consequences. The peasants refused, so the goblins threatened to kill them one by one. I should have led to find help for her people. When Theo asked why she chose foreigners instead of Lord Idu, she said she had already tried that. The Lord rejected Aisha's request, saying he had no time for a distant village. Theo recalled the infamous tyranny of Lord Batoa, who imposed heavy taxes on his people and ignored their suffering, even during famine when they desperately needed help. I had to get ready because I knew her people needed help, and she thanked Theo for his concern. But when she returned, Theo stopped her to wait. He showed her a warehouse with building materials and supplies and was proud of his foresight in preparing for emergencies. Layla recognized the supplies but was unsure of Theo's intentions. Theo asked her to look while he used the new feature of his autocrat, which resembles inventory in video games. He waved his hand, and all the materials disappeared into an invisible space. Completely empty the warehouse. Aisha was stunned and asked where the things had gone. Theo explained that it was like magic, saved in a personal dimension that he created. He asked her to lead them to her village. He decided to help despite the long road. Later, Theo, Layla, and Aisha traveled by Gorm to the village of Mo. Jesha doubted Theo's confidence in his choice and determined to save the village, warned about the dangers. The Ostid firm told her to trust him. They were not scared by the goblin threat. He felt a surge of courage. He remembered the favor of Luna the Fenderer, wondered if it had given him courage, and checked it with his analytical thinking. Statistics showed that Fenrir's favor gave enhanced leg strength, willpower that overcomes fear, and a connection with wolf-like creatures through which they obeyed him. Encouraged, Theo silently thanked Luna for the dose of courage. A sharp point in the head, and Theo was outraged, seeing how the goblin tormented the peasants. Almost losing self-control, he ordered Gorm to attack the goblins. He told Layla and Aisha to prepare to jump from Gorm on his signal. In the VOSQ, they jumped. And Gorm flew into the goblins like a battering ram, scattering several. Gorm moved like a wrestler storming the ring. In the air, Theo used autocraft to create a soft landing cushion. They landed safely, and Theo awkwardly found himself between Layla and Aisha. A feeling of being trapped between their curves. Theo flustered Aisha, who quickly withdrew embarrassed. Goblins pounced on them, ready to attack. Theo told Aisha to stay aside, as he considered it too risky for her. Despite her objections, Theo calmed her down, confident that he could save the villagers. His firm determination made Aisha's heart beat faster. She blushed and was confused by her reaction to someone younger, hinting at a new dynamic. Theo and Layla are ready to face the goblins. Layla drew her sword, and Theo activated Autocrat and summoned his inventory. Immediately, thousands of swords appeared around him, creating the legendary aura of Gilgamesh. Layla definitely cut down the goblins. Together with Theo, they defeated the horde, to turn the territory into a battlefield strewn with fallen monsters. The surviving goblins, frightened and defeated, fled to report to their leader. Lee wanted to catch up with them, but Theo stopped her and said that protecting the peasants was the most important thing for them. The peasants approached Theo, grateful for the rescue, and asked who he was. Theo truthfully introduced himself as the third prince of the kingdom of debauchery and the ruler of the land of death. This stunned Aisha and the peasants, and they reacted with alarm. Theo regretted his frankness because he realized that the peasants probably did not trust kings and nobles, and he regretted not hiding his title. To his surprise, the peasants rejoiced upon learning that he was a prince, and sincerely thanked him for the rescue. Theodown expressed their gratitude. He called for vigilance because he overheard the goblins saying they were going to report to the leader, assuming that their lair was hidden in the forest. Meanwhile, in the goblins' lair, the goblins who escaped informed their chief about the failure. The goblins warned their leader that the attack on the village was too risky. Enraged, the king of the goblins killed a goblin with one blow, calling him a coward for fleeing. He ordered the rest of the goblins to follow him, promising to show the people their place. Returning to the village, Chief Galagmobile sincerely thanked Theo for their salvation. Theo waved it off and said he just did what was right, but the leader insisted on giving a gift. Layla was surprised. They explained that it was a rare strong metal used for treasures worth hundreds of gold coins. A villager angrily accused the chief of giving such a valuable ancestral treasure to the cursed kings, and Chief Gallagher sharply reprimanded him, insisting that Theo deserves respect for saving them. The man insisted that kings would not risk their lives for common people, and that Theo had hidden motives, prompting other villagers to agree. The villagers whispered, were divided, and clearly did not trust the nobles. Thea sacked their anxiety and Ashan Jervin, who defends him. She reminded them that Theo was not like their territorial lords. He saved them even though he was a stranger. Her words were meant to ease the tension. Although the villagers acknowledged Theo's heroism, his remark remained. However, Chief Galad insisted on giving Theo a gift. Theo refused, saying it was their treasure. But the chief reported that the village was on the brink of destruction. Interested, Theo asked why the chief foresaw such a terrible fate. The chief told about the Goblin King in the neighboring forest, much stronger and smarter than ordinary goblins, rooper for victory over minotaurs or giants. He thought that the escaped goblins would return with the Goblin King. They urged young peasants to flee, while the elderly, too weak to escape, remain. Jack stubbornly refused to obey the chief's order and insisted that everyone be saved together. The chief said the elderly would hinder the young. But Jack stood firm and promised to defeat the goblins himself, not leaving anyone behind. Theo offered his help and promised that no one would be left behind. Aisha and the chief asked about the strategy. He explained that the goblins are watching the village, so escape is impossible. Therefore, they confront them in battle, fortifying the village. Later, Jack sat alone, irritated and distrustful of Theo, convinced that the royal family representative had hidden motives. Recalling his father's words that strong men protect the village, Jack believed he would take on that role and grow up, without the need for a member of the royal family like Theo. It was then that Theo Eston is Jack, instantly creating an observation tower. Left him speechless. Thea asked for more materials because his current supply was insufficient. The chief allowed him to dismantle agricultural tools or houses, and the peasants gave materials from old huts to defend the village. Jack was still struggling because he thought trusting Theo was unwise. But Theo uses magic and builds protective walls around the village. Exhausted from crafting Okalapse, Layla was worried, pushed, and dressed. He noticed that the heat had drained his strength. Eternally angry, decided to protect the village with all his might. His determination began to change a little regarding you and him. Jack remembered how during the goblin attack he froze with fear. They could not protect the village while they were fighting. He saved everyone and now again rushed to defend them. They moved Jack so that he approached the company. He asked how he could help in the defense of the village. Theo made a spear and gave it to Jack, knowing that he was considered the best fighter in the village. He said that everyone would rely on him if the defense failed. Jack took the spear but said that he still did not trust O and acted only for the sake of the village. Despite Jack's coldness, Theo thanked him, but Jack explained that he had no friendly intentions. Theo then noticed that Esha was watching and asked if everything was all right. Frightened, she denied that she was looking at him, claiming that he was not in her field of view. Then she reported that children and elderly people had been evacuated and asked how she could help. Theo assured her that the situation was under control thanks to the help of the villagers. When the villagers called him, he waved goodbye to Aisha and hurried off. Aisha, who remained standing, clearly felt something for Theo. It was noticeable. But this moment was interrupted by loud footsteps from the forest. The The Goblin King marched with his army, seeking to deal with the villagers, mocking the fact that his subordinate was afraid of a small village. He saw an opportunity to harm the villagers and capture their women for reproduction. But his confidence wavered when he saw how the village had changed. The villagers held bows, arrows, and spears, protected by a fortified wall and a watchtower, which unnerved the Goblin King. Someone demanded that the goblins retreat, promising that they would not cause harm if they left quietly, but warned that they would be attacked immediately if they moved forward. Angry because they underestimate me, the Goblin King ordered his subordinates to advance. Tsuihou had no choice and gave the peasants the signal to attack. And a powerful force smashed the goblins at the front line. The surviving goblins tremble and discover that the attack started from the watchtower, where Tsuihou stood with smoke rising from the cannons. He declared war on the goblins, and more cannon fire destroyed other enemies. Several goblins reached the walls, climbing fiercely, but the peasants above strike them with spears. Theoretically proposed tactics. Tsuihou praised the villagers and raised their fighting spirit to repel the attackers, while the enraged Goblin King, stunned by the resistance, slashes the ground with his sword, released a shockwave that broke part of the wall and toppled the watchtower. Layla caught Tsuihou fell, and he made a cushion to save the other villagers. He ordered everyone to go to shelter, and they hid there safely. The Goblin King saw the fight and recognized Tsuihou as the leader who was directing the defense, believing that eliminating him would end the fight. Layla drew her sword and promised that the Goblin King would meet her before reaching Tsuihou, who initially considered her insignificant. The Goblin King realized that she was Tsuihou's key ally. He arrogantly courted Layla, admiring her strength and beauty. She sharply refused him, declaring that she was faithful to another. Angry at her refusal, he thought that her feelings might change if her beloved were killed. He ordered his men to seize her without damaging her face. Layla, enraged, demanded to know whom he intended to kill. She uses the family swordsmanship technique and cuts the approaching goblins to pieces. She attacked King Dovland, simultaneously planning another move. But a goblin grabbed her before she could strike. More goblins piled onto Layla and pressed her down. The Goblin King ordered them to hold her to capture her, then returned to Tsuihou. Layla broke free and effortlessly dealt with the goblins with her sword, and challenged the Goblin King to face her in battle. Ignoring her, he focused on. Tsuihou is even more surrounded by goblins, and they block her path to the king. Layla noticed that the goblins' strength was in their numbers, realized her mistake, and rashly charged at the Goblin King. She realized that he cunningly pushed her away from Tsuihou, and she underestimated his intelligence. Shouting to Tsuihou, she urged him to retreat, assuring him that Gorm could protect him from the Goblin King's attacks. She suggested distracting the monster, but Tsuihou refused, saying that retreating would put the villagers in danger. Instead, using his ability, he created a sword and decided to face the goblin one-on-one, who called his determination pathetic. Tsuihou challenged the Goblin King to test his resolve. Pulling a large stone block from the inventory, the Goblin clubbed casually and effortlessly pushed it aside. Unbreakable fragments of OU from the broken watchtower quickly creates a huge ballista using the skill autocrat. He fired a bolt, but the goblin ran up and effortlessly caught it with his hands. The Goblin King taunted, asking if their games were over, grew tired of the children's noise, and raised his sword and demanded Theoday. Tsuihou recognized the magical cut, an attack that created a shockwave as the blade descended and tore the ground. The Goblin King thought the fight ended without a climax. He was confused when he felt something behind him. He is sure he hit O, but Tsuihou stood above with a sword raised for a strike. Oh, he took a risk. Uses autocraft to raise a platform of 5 blocks of earth beneath him, dodging the Goblin King's attack aimed at the blocks. Jumping over the distracted Goblin King gave him a chance to counterattack. Confident in himself, Tsuihou was ready to show the skills he honed with Layla. Using the technique he learned from Layla, Ostruck fought off the Goblin Kings. But the sword broke, leaving no mark on the monster's tough skin. Embarrassed, Tsuihou was thrown back by the Goblin King and flew into a tree like a thrown ball. The Goblin King ironically praised O for frightening him briefly, offering a sharper blade. Despite the injury, Tsuihou tried to get up to fight again. Goblin came ready to crush and declared checkmate. Suddenly Jack ran in, shouting, and pushed back the Goblin Kings with a spear, which broke the anxious Jack. Theo, surprise. Ask why Jack joined the fight. Jack explained that retreating fighters from the front line told him that Lela was defeating the goblins. But Theo stood alone against the Goblin King. Theo insisted that Jack should not have come, but Jack replied that she would have died without him. Angered, the Goblin King called Jack Murupon, raising his sword to kill him. Theo stood up to protect Jack from the Goblin King's strike. The Goblin King notices a soft heart in the man. Theo realized too late that he could not dodge, and his previous trick would no longer work. A familiar figure, Luna, Lady Fenrir, patted Theo on the back, promising her help. Her Fenrir favor skill activated and suddenly strengthened Theo's leg power. Theo dodged the Goblin King's sword strike with new speed, to catch the monster by surprise. Although the Goblin King paid no attention to Theo's blunt sword, Theo asked how his next move would succeed, recalling the gift from Chief Gallo, the rare strong metal chokum, the village's treasure. With the help of autocrafting, he forged from it a sharp sword that impressed Jack, who remembered how the chief called the metal their patron, meant to protect in times of need. The words of Chief Gilad come true when Theo arms himself with the Orchok sword and uses Layla's family technique. The wound of King Gotlin shocked Jack as the monster fell with a dull thud. Exhausted, Theo realized his victory and fainted. Caught by Jack, who praised him. Theo, please, said Jack, you did well too. And they do a fist bump. And they went to the shelter, where Theo said it was safe. Esha, overwhelmed with joy, hugged the one who was crying tightly. Layla hesitated to intervene, to see Isha's tears and how Theo calms her. They said it was because of Leifeld's jealousy. That night, the villagers raised their glasses to victory, but he found himself awkwardly pressed against Asia's chest. I wonder how it happened. Layla looked sternly, taking advantageous positions, and embarrassed Nisha, who accused her of intimidation. Layla pulled away and offered her food. Aisha responded with hers, and this sparked a silent rivalry. The chief laughed at their enthusiasm, and when Theo asked for help, he refused to spoil their fun. He noticed the village's joy thanks to Theo. Jokingly, he wished them the Lord every day. Inspired, Theo apologized. He made a stool and climbed onto it to address the peasants. He directly asked them to join him as citizens in the land of death, which he ruled. They hesitated, knowing about his reputation. But Theo explained that his power was in restoring it, and he needed their help. Jack readily agreed. He challenged the doubters to stay behind, although he himself initially doubted. Aisha and the chief also joined. A call for honesty, and even more peasants raised their hands, greeting Theo. Their new lord gave them another reason to celebrate. That night, the villagers partied and drank until morning. Theo and the group set out with items compatible with Theo's cart and elderly people in his inventory, entrusting Gorm to pull the cart. After half a day of travel, they reached Theo's barren holdings, marked by a solitary house in an empty field. Noticing the alarm in the group, Oakted, removing the homes of retreating villagers from his inventory and gathering them using autocraft, the plan he devised with Layla for their settlement. He temporarily built houses, planning to improve them later. Quickly forming a village, Aisha was a mystery. Layla said it fully matched O's vision. Suddenly, Theo fainted from the effort during the instant construction. Awakening in his house, he realized that he needed to work on endurance. Aisha, now I am in shape. They come in to check on him, and it embarrassed Theo. Layla said that she is teaching Aisha to be a maid. They saw her potential, but she lightly hit her for not calling the master, and it showed her jealousy. Theo insisted that Aisha speak simply, because formality would look strange. Asking about the peasants, he worried that they would not like their new home. But Layla pointed to the window, where Theo saw their lively joy, confirmed by Esh's report on their capture. Theo felt relieved and satisfied because he knew his people were happy. He contemplates his next steps together with the new citizens. Meanwhile, in the capital of the kingdoms of Fornia, King Goss praised the last feat of the heroine Alyssa Scarlet before the foreigner scarred. Alyssa waved it off, considering it a hero's duty. Having earned the king's remark that the goddess would approve, Alyssa Latz sarcastically thanked him. But her companions Sama and Martina looked tense, and then advised her to be careful with her words and behavior before the king. The king proposed to hold a celebration and invite his son Theo. He, hesitating, recalled their friendship, thanked Alyssa for tolerating Theo, and added that she no longer needed to worry about him. Puzzled, Alyssa learns from Tsuihou. Recognized as talentless and abandoned by the goddess, he was banished to the land of death. Probably missing or dead. Fierce Alice gripped her sword. They compete to see who will kill the king. But Santa quickly made her shut up and nervously explained that Alice was tired to stop the conversation. San refused to go to the party and pulled Alice out of there, making up an excuse. On the street, Alice demanded that Sana explain why Sana stopped her. Santa called her reckless, warning that overthrowing the king would ruin them. Alice was outraged by Tsuihou's exile, but Sana, urging respect for the king, admitted that Alice cared about Tsuihou. Alice denied any romantic feelings and insisted that Tsuihou was not her future husband. When Tsuihou was sent to the land of the dead, Alice demanded that they leave the capital. Tired of the royal family and does not want any more connections. When she was about to leave, Niels appeared. Boasted about his new title as heir to the throne, did not recognize Alice's status as a goddess, humiliated her as a commoner, and demanded respect. Alice, uninterested, turned to leave. Niels stopped her and offered her to become his partner, which shocked her. He explained the disappearance of the first prince and the exile of Tsuihou, introducing himself as the next king, and wanted people to trust Alice because it helped his power, saying it saved her from endless battles with monsters. Alice laughed at Niels' arrogance and stated her reasons. He doubted whether he was really king. They valued her protective role, refused to marry the arrogant fool, and always supported Tsuihou, accusing Niels of involvement in his exile. They consider him an enemy as well as the king. Alice's words angered Niels, who ran regarding Tsuihou's popularity, releasing his magic and doubting Tsuihou's worth. Martin was struck by Niels's immense magical power, and Alice asked if it was his gift. Niels boasted of his great wisdom. They claimed boundless magic and control over the elements, considering it unsurpassed. Alice disdainfully laughed at his arrogance, and when he demanded submission, he casts a deadly jigger fire spell. Alice effortlessly cut the fireball, noting that Niels had not undergone training. He didn't manage to do anything before she hit him so hard he fell. Niels, in fury, threatens retaliation for the attack on the prince, but Alice entrusted this to Martin, on whose side impulsiveness of Alice nevertheless instantly cured Niels. Alice teased Niels, asked what she had done, and he promised to take revenge. She challenged him to admit the deviation by the journal and his defeat. Push him to the limit. Niels swore to plunge Alice and Tsuihou into despair. Alice smiled and promised to remember his threat. Then bring out Sana and Martina, determined to immediately find Tsuihou. Meanwhile, Tsuihou used autocraft to make farming tools. Grateful peasants finishing work in the field thanked him for the help, and Tsuihou waved off their words of thanks and wished them well, and asked Layla if there were any tasks left. Layla said that the village needed to repair water channels. Isha came with a basket and reported that she had brought the ordered sandwiches, enough for all the field workers. Tsuihou thanked her, noticing that the land of death now buzzed with life because everyone had their role and helped to restore it. He was delighted and wanted to improve the land even more with their support. Suddenly, warning bells rang, and the village was informed about the attack of a giant wolf. Tsuihou immediately recognized the wolf and rushed to it, while his villagers armed themselves. The she-wolf asked them to lower their weapons and assured that nothing had happened to her. Orev joyfully confirmed that it was Luna, who felt relief upon seeing him after waiting. World of smokes, and Luna transformed into her human form, tightly pressing Tsuihou to her chest. She noticed that he seemed more reliable and guessed that he had barely escaped danger. Tsuihou admitted his difficulties and asked why she had come. Surprised, Luna wondered if she had forgotten to mention her promise of a better gift at their next meeting. Tsuihou feared her intentions during the day. He tensed when Luna touched his chin. She leaned over to take the cash. She didn't make it in time. Layla intercepted the sword aimed at Luna, demanding that she stay away from Tsuihou. Luna noticed Layla's obvious hostility. The one who accused Luna of trying to steal the cash from Tsuihou was more valuable than any treasure and claimed that she deserved severe punishment. Luna, for amusement, questioned Layla's judgment as a person during her actions. Tsuihou intervened and explained that Luna was a Fenrir heat mat while Layla was asleep, but Layla recognized her as Rupert, the wolf thief. As the tension grew, everyone insisted that Luna explain. Luna stopped teasing and told about her keys. Had to do a favor for Fenrir again. Were previously given through the frontal cache. The quantity was limited to a small portion so as not to overload Theo's body and to give time to settle before adding more, and she explained that Kish is the best way to convey this service. Layla, not convinced, asked if those were Luna's last words. But Theo asked her to drop the weapon. Layla claimed that Luna deprived Theo of his innocence, pushing Luna to realize Layla's jealousy. Layla blushed and was refused. She said she was only protecting Theo, but the lunatics who accused Layfire of losing Theo's first kiss, suggesting that she give him her allegiance. Shocked, Theo and Layla questioned her, and Luna clarified Layla could give Theo her allegiance. Layla doubted whether one could share their power, and Luna confirmed that it was possible. Notice that Layla's previous sword strikes exceeded the strength of an ordinary person. Luna explained that rare people who had divine blessing could transfer their power to others. This means that Layla could share hers with O. Luna, confirming this, immediately suggested doing lip kiss because both were humans. Pushes Layla to act quickly, regardless of who went first. Theo intervened and asked why they assumed he was Kishlela, and Luna asked if he was against it. Theo stressed they could not act rashly, considering the chaotic feelings. Layla, however, was ready to quiche Theo at any moment. And Luna teased her impatience, and Aisha, blushing, asked the public cache. Theo asks Layla not to feel pressured. She sincerely expressed a desire to receive his tenderness if he agreed. Seeing Layla trembles with her hands, Theo, after hesitation. He agreed and said that it was his first kiss and might not turn out very well. Layla, who was also preparing for the first time, did not object, and then gently touched the cheeks. Clumsily kissed her. He wonders if he recalled the favorite legend. Confused when Layla did not respond. Then he was shocked when she fainted. Everyone except Luna was stunned. She laughed because Layla seemed funny to her. Smiling, Luna said it was her turn now. But it was necessary to wait until Layla's service settled down so as not to overload Theo. When the plans failed, she switched to another matter. Called the children forward when several wolves appeared. Barking and greetings. Surprisingly, Theo asked about the wolves. Luna explained that these were Fenrir puppies, whom she wanted him to take care of. Not hers, but her sister's. Teasingly, she asked Theo, who thought she had a partner, emphasizing that she was alone. Theo clarified, decided that it was none of his business, and agreed to look after the pups, despite Luna's warning about their rarity and possible problems. Gently stroking the puppy, Theo assured Luna that he would gladly accept them. He surprised her with his quick decision. Embarrassed, Luna thanks Tim, teaching the puppies to express gratitude to their new guardian Theo. The puppies and Theo's worm. Sorry, I cannot help with this request. In a week, the puppies will have a fun time with the villagers, playing with children, eating, and working on the farm. Asha fed them, but like Theo, was touched by their affectionate licking. Watching, Ofelt felt Twinger's jealousy, but noticed one puppy that was shyly hiding when he looked. Luna appeared and explained to the group that the pup's shyness was a problem, surprising Theo with her sudden appearance and bright new outfit. Luna said she preferred minimal clothing, but Theo noted that such attire was not suitable for the village. With a slight smile, Luna joked that Theo might be jealous because others see her that way. When Theo learned about the previous state of the pub, Luna said it was the youngest, and told about the tragic loss of her older sister, who died shortly after giving birth. Theo was stunned by this revelation. Luna explained that the puppy had never felt a mother's affection. Despite efforts to take on this role, Luna admitted she could never truly replace the puppy's mother, which made the puppy timid and distant from others. Theonautid felt understanding, although Luna seemed ready to say something more. Teokyuten suggests befriending the puppy. Luna was momentarily left speechless. Stunned by Teo's proposal, he worried that he had crossed a line. Luna's quick smile calmed him, and she said that he was exactly the person she had hoped to find. She was glad to be on his land. Theodon played at his level, but Luna surprised him with a dense quiche. Unprepared for this, Theo struggled, and Luna firmly grasped his chin. When Luna finally withdrew, Theo, confused, demanded to know what she was doing. She casually explained that this was how she fulfilled the previously promised favor, which both had forgotten. Luna then asked Theo to take care of the shy puppy. Although Theo doubted he could help, he promised to do his best. Odin hesitates to approach the youngest puppy, inviting it to play. But it kept its distance and ran away. He noticed that it did not run far, so it was not afraid. Theo suggests playing tag and voluntarily agrees to be the one who is caught. It seemed the puppy understood the idea. Barks and eagerly darts in different directions. Smiling, Theo chased the puppy around the village. Despite its small size, the Fenderpap was exceptionally fast. Recognizing its fennel in nature, the Agat seriously uses his autocrat skill to summon an earthen wall to block his path. He tried to grab it, but the puppy nimbly jumped over the walls and climbed onto the roofs. Theo persistently continued to build new walls to slow down the puppy, but it always slipped away from them. Gradually, Theo began to move forward, and the puppy could not hide its smile. After an hour, Theo was heavily out of breath. The puppy stopped, barks at him with a wide smile, and wags its tail, clearly enjoying the chase. Oblighted said that the real game is just beginning. The chase continued until the puppy slipped off the roof. Noticing the danger, Theo quickly used his autocraft skill to create a trampoline below. Receiving a push from Fenrir favor, he pushed off the trampoline to catch the puppy in midair. Then he made a soft cushion for a safe landing. They landed unharmed, and Theo triumphantly said that he caught the puppy. Fenrir's puppy barked and pouted as if dissatisfied. Theo wondered if the puppy wanted to play again. Lunar approached, happy that the puppy began to trust Theo, calling him a natural fennel wizard. Puzzled, Theo insisted that they would just become friends. Luna smiled warmly, watching them hug on the cushion. Shortly after that, Theo played with Soak, one of Fenrir's puppies, because the puppies had no names. Luna entrusted Theo to name them all, and he was delighted with the role of godfather. Inspired, Theo also watched as Layla taught the peasants. She energetically threw them during training. She urges the men to improve as future soldiers and encourages them every time they fall. Theo felt uncomfortable because of how rudely his maid behaved. Until this time, the village had avoided serious damage from monsters. Several people approached Alayla, the soldiers, and Theo Gorm, but Gorm stopped them. However, O'Neill could not afford to relax. To protect the village, he used his autocrat skill and built strong walls around it. Theo really wanted to finish work on the new weapon, but he lacked some necessary materials. That evening, after bathing, he returned to his room. Pleased, he built a sauna that everyone loved. He was especially pleased that Gorman loved it the most. The joy of the peasants made him happy. He did not expect that Hulm loved the sun so much. Later, Layla entered Theo's room. He praised her for her dedication to teaching the peasants. Anxious, Layla thanked him. Theo grew as worried. He noticed that she had been distant since kishing him and fainting. When Layla apologized for that moment, despite excessive confidence, haste was not foolish. Suddenly, Layla came closer and explained that she had been training in her thoughts not to faint again. Layla grabbed Theo and asked if she could do him a favor again. Embarrassed, Theo listened as she reminded him of Luna's advice that small favors should be resolved first, and then larger ones offered. He notices that Layla is trembling. Theo saw her efforts and gently asked her not to strain herself. He wanted to show that he valued her feelings. Layla's restraint disappeared. She said she wanted to act quickly, but would blame Theo for what was coming. Before he could explain, Lelu kissed him. Overwhelmed with emotions, Theo felt her continue to kiss him. Gently pushing him onto the couch, she put all her affection into the relentless kisses. Without stopping, the next morning Theo was very tired. Layla was full of energy. She gladly began teaching the peasants again. Theo decided to inspect the crops in the fields. There he saw a stranger who asked to try the vegetables. Having tasted one, the man with animal-like ears said in French that it was tasty. He said that the vegetables were sweet and juicy and offered to buy them. An interesting approach of the man, who seemed more focused on Fenrir's puppy nearby. The stranger aloud pondered the value of the puppy's fur coat. Angry Akin approached him and demanded to explain what he intended to do with the friend. You will also ask who this man is. The stranger introduced himself as Lauren from the Bastia company. Suddenly, Lauren took out a comb and asked for a small sample of the puppy's fur. It was then that Jack arrived at Hormsbeck and accused Lauren of illegal trespassing. Lauren insisted that he was innocent. Lauren explained that it was strange to see people cultivating the land on the land of death, a place that was supposed to be a wasteland. His curiosity made him investigate. The presence of Gorm hinted that a talented alchemist lived there. The village seemed interesting to Lauren, and he said he wanted to explore it further. Suddenly, Theo locked Lauren in a magical cage. He intended to detain him until he clarified his intentions. Surprisingly, Lauren was impressed and admired the magic and texture unique to the cage. Watching Gorm, Fenrir's puppy, the fields, and Theo's magic, Lauren called the village a utopia and a treasure trove. He even thanked the gods for his luck. Theo's suspicions deepened. He doubted Lauren's true intentions. At that moment, the villagers ran in with alarming news. 10 earth dragons were approaching and would reach the village in 20 minutes. Theo was stunned. 1 earth dragon was already a sufficient challenge. But immediately 10 had never occurred, even in the land of death. Warren suddenly spoke up, thinking that the earth dragons might be pursuing him because he had entered their nest. The opposite quickly together. Lauren confessed that dragons might be following him. Theo was stunned. This villain not only broke into her village, he brought a pack of deadly monsters right to their doorstep. Theo wondered what other problems this man could cause. Earth dragons had no wings, but were the strongest among their kind. Theo could not understand that Lauren had brought such creatures to their home. Warren said he did not want this to happen. He said he only looked into their nest and did not think they would chase him. He still boasted that he outplayed them, comparing it to a game of tag and considering it impressive. But Theo recalled that earth dragons are usually peaceful, often used for field work or transporting cargo. It was strange that they left the nest to chase Lauren. Theo suspected that something more was behind Lauren's actions. He still ordered Lauren to stay in the cage while the village dealt with the dragons. Warren begged not to be left there. Meanwhile, the light led the villagers to the underground shelter. The news about the 10 earth dragons frightened everyone. Yuusha calmed them down, saying that the village had stronger defenses than their previous home. She added that their soldiers trained hard every day and believed that Theo and the others could protect the village from the walls. Preparations began. Theo noticed from afar that the earth dragons were approaching within cannon range. Luna arrived and offered help. But Theo thanked her and asked Leela to hold back for now. He thought it was too dangerous to send their best fighters into battle immediately. It was unclear how the poisonous air could strengthen the monsters. He also wanted to check if the cannons could stop them, raising the soldiers' morale. The peasants shouted that the earth dragons were not within range. Theo ordered his troops to prepare to fire on his command. The cannons thundered simultaneously. Cannonball swung his sword and crashed into the monsters. The earth shakes. Relief overwhelmed Theo because they hit the target. But the earth dragons still advanced forward despite everything. Shocked, Theo realized that the beasts did not even slow down. He doubted their resilience. The soldiers became worried because they feared the cannons were ineffective. Even Theo felt uneasy and was about to call Layla and Luna, but feared that their thick armor might be a problem even for them, or that something unexpected might happen. Theo believed that his unfinished weapon could defeat the dragons, but he lacked an extraordinarily high-quality magical sight to work. He would have to obtain it from the dragon. Then Lauren said that he had the dragon majesty Theo needed. Theo was frightened to see it free outside the cage. The Lord explained that curiosity made him escape because he wanted to hug Theo's gong. When Theo persistently asked if he really had magical sight, Lauren calmly showed it. He also showed a certificate to confirm its authenticity. Theo, thanks to his ability to assess, had already confirmed that it was genuine. He still asked why Lauren had it. Lawrence sure wanted to trade it with the elves to make money. Theo was puzzled, so Lauren told rumors about the elves and the northern village in the land of death. He hoped to find them to make a profitable deal. The village remained a miss. Instead, Lauren saw potential in investing in the village of Theo, which he called a gold deposit. The card means Lauren offered a magic site if you want to watch more such videos. Theo defended the village and agreed to an exclusive deal with Lauren's company Bastia. Lauren laid out her terms of the deal. He thought Theo would want time to think it over, but Theo agreed immediately. He considered the magic placed their best chance for survival and believed that cooperating with a stranger could help the village, although he did not fully trust Lauren. Theo felt that this deal had great potential. Warren was stunned for a moment, agreed and shook Theo's hand to seal it. He admitted that he had underestimated O's determination. Lauren delivered the magic sight. He was surprised when he saw that he had been installed in the newly completed magical cannon Theo. The type of magical weapon could arouse curiosity about its power. Theo immediately bypasses any tests announced using this, confident that it surpassed ordinary cannons. With the press of a button, the magical cannon fired a powerful beam of light that hit the approaching Earth dragons. A powerful explosion in Theory Bay. The explosion shocked everyone, including Lauren, who was clearly impressed. O2 was impressed by its power. The peasant confirmed that the Earth dragons were destroyed, inspiring celebration. Aisha and the evacuated villagers hear applause. They felt calm about their safety, but when the dust settled, a multitude of wyverns appeared. Theo angrily looked at Lauren, who saw that he was not guilty. If not Lauren, Theo thought, something was stirring in the land of the dead. A serious problem was approaching. The magical cannon needed time to reload, and ordinary cannons could not cope with the wyverns. Layla and Luna stepped forward. They were eager to fight, saying this was their time. They calmly faced the wyvern. Layla said she had not fought creatures of dragon light for a long time. Luna said she had not trained recently. The old man was grateful that he had kept them close before. He asked him to drive away doubts without overexerting himself, since the magic cannon will reload in 10 minutes. He also ordered the soldiers to prepare the other cannons. Warren anxiously asked if Thea realized how many wyverns were there. He urged them to flee. Layla and Luna told him to calm down. He promised to defeat all the wyverns in 10 minutes. They jumped off the wall. Luna transformed her hands into Fenrir's paws, and Layla drew a sword. He told Lauren to twist the deadly dangerous ones during flight. Shark claws, teeth, and fire breath. But he pointed out that on their side was an adventurer of extra rank and Fenrir. Layla and Luna quickly destroyed most of the wyverns. They said that Theobost was the most powerful warrior of the village. Studied, reviewed, awestruck. Soon the last droplet-shaped lifeless insects of Weverage. Luna was a little irritated that it took longer than she expected. Layla ties sheets on one more waver than Luna. We went and muttered about Layla's competitive temper. She said she didn't care about being the chief wife of the prince. Layla was confused. Yelled said she didn't have such a relationship with the prince. Then Luna complained that she had to fight more armed enemies without using all her strength. Layla asked what she meant. From another direction, more vibrations were approaching. Deep understanding. Even the moon felt something strange in the land of death. They were too far from the village to make it back in time. Theo panicked and ordered the regular tin soldiers to open fire. But they could not hit the enemies in the air. The magical cannon was still not ready. Judge Theotad got lost. A juror appeared and told him to leave it to her. With one powerful sword strike, she effortlessly cut the wyvern in half. Everyone, especially Theo, was shocked. When you recognize her technique, the girl confronts Theo, saying that a lot of time has passed. Alice, who was looking for Theo, appeared. Theo asked why she was here. She explained that she heard about his exile and decided that he was lonely and upset. Thea clarified did not cry, but thanked her for her care. Alice quickly assured that she did not leave out of nervousness at that moment. Layla and Luna came, interested in the impressive attack. Layla was shocked to see Alice, and Alice was also surprised to see Layla. Simply freshly thank Alice for the help, and then approach O. He was ready to take the blame for not defeating the wyvern, even began to atone for it with physical suffering. Harry Lee stopped her, assuring that she had already done enough. He insisted that Layla change clothes. Lunar then hugs Theo, jokingly demands a reward for his efforts. Hello, Shep is with you. Hugs Theo and thank him for taking care of everyone's safety. Alice froze, noticing two more girls next to Layla. Looking around, she saw a lively village full of people. Her plan to comfort lonely Theo was ruined. Alice fell to her knees, and Theo asked what had happened. Later, she visited the hot springs in the village. Inside her, there was a rumble, as if the dream of a simple, happy life with Theo had been shattered. Martina was annoyed by Alice's constant complaints, but San Hustler explained that Alice had gone to the land of the dead only to have her hope hidden. Also, Alice could not spend time with Theo because he was busy gathering materials for dragons. Still, the girls were surprised when they found a pleasant bath in the land of the dead. Marina called it the biggest surprise, noticing that no one expected the exiled prince to have such a talent. Alice was not surprised because she knew about Theo's skill with machines and admitted that she had not told them before that Theo was born with this gift. She remembered that he trusted her when they were children. Assuming that everyone already knew, she relaxed with relief because she no longer had to hide it. Then Layla appeared, stunned that Alice had known Theo's secret all along. Alice saw Layla's reaction and realized that Layla did not know. Lively Layla Alice T. boasted that Theo trusted her the most, while others laughed at their leader's immaturity. After bathing, the three girls were not caught. Orivd complimented their appearance. Alice asked if he had finished gathering materials. Theo confirmed that he had, and the girls were impressed by the quantity. Alice, not surprised, expected wealth from the land of death. Theo admitted that defeating the monsters was difficult and doubted whether it was worth celebrating. He asked about the open-air baths, and Alice said they were quite pleasant. Scrutinizing Theo, Alice noticed that he had grown since their last meeting 2 years ago. She expected him to be depressed, but he radiated vitality. At first, Theokonfess Heat was afraid of exile, but life in the land of death turned out to be a wise choice. Alice from Marquis looked healthier than when you saw her in the capital. Theo, please note that Alice has become even more beautiful. She immediately blushed and reproached him for becoming arrogant just because he had grown up, and Theo insisted that he was simply telling the truth. Santa interrupted and explained that Alice was just shy. Sound reported that when Alice found out that Theo was expelled, she got scared and hurried to save him out of her love for him. Alice quickly fell asleep on Rena's face. Warning her not to say such things, Santa continued telling Theo how Alice's actions caused them trouble. Despite Alice's request to stop, Santa said that she even stuck needles. Marina and shocked Alice went to such measures. She knew that Alice cared about Theo, and Theo agreed, understanding the risks Alice faced. Alice admitted that she could not control herself and got angry because of Neil's joking theory. Theo blushed a little, took Gollies by the hand, and thanked her for protecting him. Shyly, Alice asked why he was holding her hand. Marina and Santa encouraged Alice and pushed her towards Keshem. Alice looked seriously at Theo, and you understand that she was speaking seriously. At that moment, Lauren Rautinder appeared and asked for their attention. Theo flinched when he saw him, especially when he was tied up. Theo immediately asked what had happened. Lauren explained that the villagers accused him of attracting earth dragons and demanded that he atone for his guilt. But Lauren shifted focus and suggested selling dragon materials wholesale to the Bastia company. Allison exploded, explaining in detail the value of dragon materials. Strong scales for armor, claws and fangs for weapons, and dragon blood for effective medicines. Lauren would have already counted, tilted and thrown into baikus, using the leg to complete her figures. He provided the sum and said it covers the cost of materials. Alice trembling said that with this money, one could build several luxurious mansions, but Lauren said it was not enough. Theo reported that he planned to sell only half of the materials. Surprised, Alice listened as Theo explained that he had gathered more than needed and could not use it all. Lauren offered a larger sum, but Theo agreed to the standard rate. Theo ordered materials for the rest of the money. Warren was impressed. They did not think that someone as young as Theo would understand the weakness of the currency in the land of death. Lauren agreed, and Theo said he needed iron. Their conversation was interrupted by loud rumbling in Alice's stomach. Blushing, she admitted that she had not eaten on the way to Theo. Theo is hungry too. They noticed that the food was probably ready. When Lauren asked, Theo invited him to join and added that they would eat dragon meat. Theo began the festive meal by raising his mug, and everyone cheered and applauded. Aisha and Layla arrived with the main dishes for the banquet. They prepared various dishes from dragon meat, which resembled treasure more than food. The peasants who wanted to taste dragon meat were drooling at the banquet. Theo started the meal by taking the first bite. His eyes sparkled as he praised the taste. Until now in the land of the dead, I only ate vegetables, so the meat seems even tastier. Alice asked anxiously if the meat was safe. On the land of deaths, toxic air can make dragon meat dangerous. Theo reassured her that it was safe because he purified it with his divine hoe, which removed the poison, and Alice noted that only Theo would use human meat. Theo insisted that Alice try the meat, although she hesitated. She took a bite and stopped. A wyvern swept upward with soaring wings. A rich, tender flavor enveloped her, and she marveled at its perfect preparation. Theo gave credit to the May team, trained by Layla, for the success in cooking the dishes. Alice asked about the team with interest. Nearby, Layla selected maids and admitted only those who passed to service. Theo noticed that these maids could be more resilient than ordinary soldiers. The night continued, and Fenrir's puppies joined the feast. Lauren pays tribute to Luna with an expensive bottle of wine. Hishikit pours drinks for everyone. At the Asat, everyone is having a good time. Alice teased him for looking too serious. jokingly said he wouldn't grow taller if he didn't eat more. She tried to feed him, but Layla intervened and warned Alice that without rest, her growth would slow down. Alice sharply told Layla not to spoil her moment with Theo. But Layla handed Theo dragon stew at ignoring her. Irritated, Alice grabbed Theo and told Layla to step back. Layla pulled Theo away, saying she was protecting the prince from trouble, and had already won his favor. Alice, stunned and angry, demanded details of their relationship. She called them insolent. Theo tried to calm her and explain the situation. Later, Alice understood how to gain favor, but was still upset, especially regarding the participation of women in the matter with the beast. She boldly said she would be fine if they preferred Koto. Shocked Theo, and he blushed. Layla pressed a butter knife to Alice's throat because she had bet on him. Alice challenged Layla to a fight. Layla replied that fighting her would be like a child opposing an adult. Alice sarcastically said that Layla seemed to thank her mockingly, and they argued about maturity, pinching Theo between them. Irritated, O shouted for them to stop. Meanwhile, Jack and a villager were on watch on the walls. Some villagers wanted more dragon meat. Jack reminded them to be vigilant against threats. Yuusha came, knowing that they would be hungry, and thanked them for their efforts. The peasants called her their goddess. She invited Jack to join, but he refused. Suddenly he broke out in a sweat, seeing something strange. Jack did not believe and asked Yuusha to urgently inform the media. She ascended to the banquet. A message about the approach of another monster. The stunned asked what kind of creature it was. Yuusha said it was only one monster. At first it became easier, because Thea thought one seemed manageable compared to the horde of dragons. But Ashak clarified that it was a giant turtle the size of a mountain. The old man, all sweaty, could not imagine meeting a disaster-class monster. Using the autocrat skill, he created a white word from iron and glass, and a temporary marker from paint, water, cotton, and wood. Santa was surprised that the pen wrote without dipping into ink. Martina wondered how easily the writing erased, almost as if by magic. She called it the magic pen, and Santa agreed. OASD said they could start the meeting. Santa apologized and officially began the conversation about the adamant turtle. A disaster-class monster is heading to the village, and based on its speed, it is expected to arrive by noon. Santa explained that it truly lived up to its name. The adamant turtle was a huge creature with a shell as strong as the rare mineral adamant, and she noted that swords and cannons would not help, and its rapid regeneration made fighting it like battling a mountain. Despite the serious topic, Santa's sketches of the monster were strangely cute, and Santa added that even Alice, Lela, Luna, and the magic cannon would hardly be able to damage the turtle, and her drawings of the trio resembled manga characters. She described how the turtle attacked with a powerful mana burst. The group found her sketches so cute that they jokingly said they wouldn't mind being hit by that burst. Sana quickly erased the drawings and explained that the turtle's attack was their chance to respond. Others were upset when she did this, and Santa was confused. Theo insisted that she continue. Sana explained that the monster was vulnerable only during the attack. She suggested at that moment to shoot into the turtle's mouth with a magic cannon. Her drawing became eerie, showing how the turtle explodes from the inside. She emphasized that an attack from within could overcome him. Allison noticed that although Sona loves cute things, the mercenary work dulled her reaction to bloody scenes. Thea understood that they first needed to provoke the turtle's attack. Son agreed but warned that there were no guarantees the magic cannon would work, and advised evacuating the villagers just in case. When the turtle attack destroyed the village, Theo approved the appointment of a team of maids to organize the evacuation and ordered the soldiers to prepare the defense. Everyone gets to work. Theo set a trap to stop the monster. Using the autocrat skill, Ox dug up the ground and put it in the inventory to make a pit trap. He lined the bottom with spikes to catch the turtle, then he reinforced the village walls, transforming them into a huge defensive rampart. After the last use, pale and exhausted, O exhausted his magical power and fell. Old Hanuking woke up at dawn and was surprised to find himself on Alice's lap. She explained that she allowed him to rest there so his body wouldn't hurt from the ground. She used her right after defeating Layla in the rock-paper-scissors game. Allison insisted that he rest more, saying he had worked hard on the trap. Since Theosen was exhausted, Alice suggested he sit on her lap and said he had already done enough. Theo tried to apologize and go to work, but Alice gently touched him and encouraged him to rest. She scolded him for overexerting himself, a warning that he could die from it, as in his previous life. Theo, feeling guilty, apologized for always relying on her help. Alice replied that Theo helped her the most. The victory of OASD caused confusion. Alice called him inattentive. She recalls how at 8 years old, she received the hero's power. She told how it changed her life. The hero's power was given to suitable candidates regardless of status. Alisa, the daughter of a snack bar owner, was amazed that she became a heroine. Her life changed when she was taken to the castle as a child. She endured harsh training alongside adults. Her trainer often beat her and shouted that she had to work hard for the kingdom. Everyone who received the hero's power was enrolled in the castle program. Alisa studies fencing, magic, and tactics, but it resembled brainwashing more than training to turn her into a living weapon called a hero. When young Alisa wandered the castle corridors, people whispered, advising each other to stay on good terms with the hero. She wondered if they noticed that her sharp hearing caught their whispers. Alone in the garden, she grumbled to herself that there was not a single good soul in the castle. She only heard talks about the hero and empty compliments. After thinking, she realized that since her arrival, no one had called her by her real name. For them, she was simply a heroine, a tool, not a person. She remembered the days when she was a tavern juror and served cheerful visitors in her parents' canteen. Memories evoked quiet tears and longing for her native home. She remembered Theo, who helped her in difficult times. He was the first to approach her, called her by her real name, and handed her a handkerchief to wipe away her tears. Alisa perceived Theosar as a real person, not just as a hero. Then it was too embarrassing to speak. Now she wanted to sincerely thank him. Thanks to him, she could remain herself. Theodown pretended and said that besides her, he had no other friends. Alisa joked that while she was mastering the sword, Thoud was mastering loneliness. Theo replied that his mother was still in Galen. Suddenly, Alice became serious. She suggested doing something before meeting the turtle. She remembered the favor they had discussed the day before. Shaylee asks if Theo will share it with her. Stunned, Theo found it hard to answer. Blushing, he asked if Alice understood how the favor was transferred, and she replied yes, asking him not to misinterpret it. She said she offered to help only because she felt guilty if Theo died without her help. She asked if he didn't want to. He admitted that he thought she had refused. Alice interrupted him and told him to shut up. Without pause, she leaned in and crushed him. Their teeth collided painfully. Alice persistently continued and taught him again more thoroughly. After a short pause, she kissed him once more. Theo now has 3 girls from Kish. Notice that Alice blushed. Unlike some spectators who are still single, she jokingly called Theo a pervert for blushing, and he replied that she looked like a boiled octopus. Alice explained that she was only doing a favor, nothing more. Alice hesitated, then apologized for lying. Leaning closer, her touch embarrassed him. Alice confessed that she had always dreamed of this moment with him. Theo blushed even more. Alice stood and said that for now they were finished. She told him to continue after the fight. Theo asked what she meant by the word continue. Alice warned that he better survive, otherwise she would get angry, and that would push him to even greater determination. Theo promised to win together with her. Alice beamed with satisfaction. Soon the village gates resembled walls, resistant to titans. Layla praised Theo and said they had nothing to fear. Alice complained that Theo worked too much. He reminded her that they were dealing with a disaster-class monster. Recalling the heat, he asked Martina to enhance the magical cannon. Martina eagerly talked about the magical cannon, and Theo spoke passionately like a fan of magical gadgets. He asked her to focus, and this caught the mage by surprise. He inquired about the progress of the upgrades. Martina reported improvements in range, explosive power, and reload speed at Theo's request. She admitted that she might have overdone it a bit, but also adjusted the canisters so they could hold more shards of magical sight and work more efficiently. Theo thanked her for the work. Martina warned that the increased power could cause overload and explosion. Theo noted that she had made it a risky weapon. He still thanked her and emphasized that the cannon was important for the upcoming battle. Martina, blushing, downplayed her contribution and quietly left. The Ascents avoided him. Luna appeared and teased Theo, saying that he was a ladies' man. Theo insisted that everyone was just kind. Luna said that he understood nothing. She asked if he was all right and if he needed her to fight for him. Theo recalled Layla's remark about Luna's limited power. Luna confirmed, noting that if she unleashed her divine power, it would attract even worse trouble. Another assigned her to guard the peasants, a role only she could fulfill, and Luna asked what he meant. She turned pale at the sight of the massive house on wheels. Theo explained that the underground shelter would not withstand the impenetrable turtle, so he built a mobile refuge. He asked Luna to take it to a safe place, and when the turtle attack began, Luna agreed, saying that only she could accomplish this task. She vowed to protect the villagers as they had asked. You arrived and are reading Adamantova Turtle. Theo admitted that he was nervous, and San understood this when they encountered an extremely dangerous enemy. Theo wondered why such a usually peaceful creature attacked. Because stubborn turtles attacked only when provoked. Sana told about Martinez's important discovery. Martina is examining the wyverns. Traces of a mind control spell were found. Theo was stunned. Santa suspected that the earth dragons and probably the unbreakable turtle were also enchanted. Theo realized that someone was deliberately targeting his village. Sana noticed that mind control spells required a large amount of mana and rare items, that is, world-level treasures. Control over the unshakable turtle took enormous resources, and Senna doubted that the organizer would be satisfied with just one creature, hinting that this might be their last fight with the monster. Listening to Sana, the boss of the video game Ericald leads the battle. He realized that his heart was pounding not from fear, but from excitement. Although reluctantly saying this, he wanted a confrontation. The stubborn turtle slowly and heavily crawled to the village, ousted from the magic cannon, ready to be the first to hold the colossal beast. The earth cracked under the weight of the turtles and roared, falling into a pit with spikes. The Ocheered trap worked, giving the signal for all cannons to fire. The cannonball exploded upon collision with the turtle trap. Continuous fire from Tsuihou will force his mouth to open to strike from afar. Then he will shoot a magic cannon into his mouth, destroying him from the inside. The turtle began to raise its paws. Sen urgently warned that Theo was climbing out. Theo was shocked, expecting the pit to hold longer. But they still had ready strategies. Alice and Layla was ready to act. Layla told Alice that she refused to be an obstacle. Alice replied and asked whom Layla thought she was addressing. They take positions and demonstrate their signature moves. Their combined sword strike formed a large X-shaped cut. What struck the monster cut its front left leg and blood flowed. The girls ordered the turtle to stay down, declaring the pit its grave because of the wounded leg. The turtle fell into the trap again. Theo, rejoicing in success, ordered the soldiers to continue firing. After reloading, the cannons began shelling the unbreakable turtle again. Finally, having run out of patience, it let out a loud roar. Sound announced that it was preparing to attack, and Theo knew that this was their moment. The turtle opened its mouth and charged a long-range attack, but shockingly, it was aimed down at Alice and Layla. No one expected this. Dub couldn't aim at his mouth, and now the girls were in his sights. The girls felt that the turtle's anger was directed at them. Alice came up with a quick plan. He jumped high and teased the beast, hitting it on the chin with his sword. She shouted to attract his attention. It opened its mouth for Theo's shot, but Alice was right in the path of the magic cannon. Suddenly, Alice disappeared. Theo gasped. Layla quickly pulled her to a safe place. Alice was cornered. Layla understood her intention. Layla admitted she was afraid that Alice was planning a sacrificial strike. Taking advantage of the moment, Theo fired the magic cannon. Its explosion was much more powerful than before, so the shot used against the earth dragon's hit. The steadfast turtle inside exploded with an increasingly deep rumble. The giant creature fell with a dull thud. Santa rejoiced and said he had won while the turtle was falling. Theo and the villagers began to celebrate. Alice and Layla tapped the sword hilt as a sign of mutual respect. Santa was surprised that they defeated a disaster-class monster. Thanks Sunny for her strategic plans. She acknowledged the team's efforts. Theo asked where Allison and Layla were, and Santa pointed to the stone where the girls stood watching him. Theo wondered when they moved there, and Santa noticed their incredible speed. But then the turtle's eyes gleamed as if it were still alive. It rose from the ground. Theo was stunned. It survived the magical cannon. Lala and Eli's were equally shocked by its resilience. The turtle roared loudly, trying to get out of the pit. Theo realized that it was now cautious and would hardly open its mouth again. Its only movement was to land on the village with its mountain. The fortified wall of Theo's protected the village, but he doubted its strength. If the wall fell, the soldiers would die, and the village would be destroyed. While O's were bustling in search of a plan, he saw debris shifting under the monster. Suddenly he called Fenrir's puppies by name. They appeared quickly. Did they ask for a favor? I am delivering each note to Looney and Aisha. At the same time, he asked Silk to move him under the turtle. Sana, worried, asked what he was planning. Theo entrusted her to manage during his absence. He left with Silk and explained nothing. Sana, confused, he left. Deep down, he believed in an external triumph. She finally understood why her leader believed in him so much. While Alice fiercely aimed at one of the giant turtle's legs, using her heroic skills, Layla struck another leg. Despite persistent efforts, they noticed that their attacks caused almost no damage. They failed to stop the turtle, and it escaped the trap. Alice was annoyed because the huge creature kept brushing off their attacks. Layla noted that their strikes were almost like mosquito bites and suggested trying to attack together again. Before they could move, the stubborn turtle noticed them and shifted as if it wanted to bite or swallow them. Although this was not his true intention. Instead, it opened its jaws, preparing for another explosion. The girls quickly realized that the turtle was going to explode and destroy them along with itself. Layla noticed that this was probably a clever move because the turtle covered its mouth and relied on its sturdy body and ability to recover from magical attacks. Alyssa realized that defeating such a cunning turtle would be difficult. Layla pulled Alyssa back. Realizing that they needed to run away quickly, she asked Alyssa to guard her while. She carried her and Alice agreed, although she was not sure if they would manage to escape in time. They were suddenly interrupted by Theo, who shouted for them to duck. Using his autocraft skills, he created a large spear that grew from the ground and pierced the turtle under its chin. The accumulated energy exploded in the turtle, causing an explosion in its mouth and injuring itself. Theo cheerfully shouted to the girls and asked if they were safe. The disappointed girls demanded to know why Theo was fighting on the front line. He explained that the adamant turtle had become more cautious, so the magic cannon stopped working. He said he found another way to defeat it. After carefully examining the creature, he insisted that the girls examine the turtle's belly. The girls finally noticed cracks in the shell. Theo believed that the magic cannon caused those cracks, and to defeat the turtle, they needed to strike that vulnerable spot powerfully. Alice understood what needed to be done, but Theo advised her to wait. He knew Alice was their strongest fighter, but doubted that even she alone could break that spot. The then showed the strategy he had devised. After he was outlined, the girls understand the risks of the plan for Theo. Alice also said that they lack people in the team to carry it out. Theoria assured them not to worry and said that help was already on the way. At that moment, Luna appeared and apologized for being late. Luna said that the villagers felt safe with Horm. She said she had read Theo's letter and was impressed by his clever ideas. Theo thanked her for coming. Layla reminded Luna of her limited combat abilities and questioned her contribution. Luna acknowledged her current limitations. She explained that she brought Sana to help. Theo was glad to see Sana, although Santa grumbled that they treated her roughly. When Santa arrived, Allison noticed that there were enough people, but they still lacked one person. O assured her that he had already taken care of the last part. Returning to the giant turtle, he said it was time to launch their final plan.